Benny Mosher here. I just wanted to do a quick walkthrough of my nested maps terraform module. That module was built for Terraform 012 because we did not yet have the ability to do for eaches on modules. At the time of this recording, I believe 013 is live and available, and that actually gives us for eaches in a module definition, which makes some of this work a little bit easier. But nonetheless, I have this module up for those using 0.12, and I just kind of go over today why. So we were working on a mono repo on this project, and they had a modules folder that had a slew of other modules in it. This is just a sandbox example. And then we also had an environments folder with multiple environments in it that contained Terraform code. Now each of these environments had duplicated code in each one, and really the only difference was, well, the word dev was changed to staging, and the word prod was changed there too. And that seems silly. So we wanted to dry it up a little bit, and we did a little bit of work on that. And so one of the things I built was this nested maps because, and this was one of the painful pieces, we had a security groups folder, or file here, excuse me, that pulls in a bunch of security groups created in other environments or other Terraform code, if you will. And there was a lot of them. There's 113 lines. I'm not sure how many definitions there, but there's a few, and each one kind of is done 3 times. Like you can see CMS dev, CMS staging, CMS prod. They're all very similar. They have the very similar names, those type of things. We wanted to clean these up and make them easier to use. And so I went ahead and within this refactoring, we were making a module for the project overall. So this could be like test API, if you will. Org is like company name, and then project is like backend API or login API, something like that, microservices, if you will. And so we created this project, and I just call it project here, module, and we're just going to relate to it as API, if you will. And then so inside of that, we needed to do a few things. We notice we have some repetitive naming, and one of the big things is the environment, dev. There are some prod ones, and then there are some staging ones throughout here too. You can see VS Code kind of light those up. And then the other piece is that we have this org project thing that's repeated numerous times in here as well. And so, and then we have the environment here. So the reason we needed this was I didn't want to make these a bunch of times. I really wanted to make a map that had the resource name and then the name of the security group or the resource we're looking up. And so we went ahead and did some magic here. So my nested maps module is already up on the GitHubs, and it is registered with a Terraform resource module, module repository. Sorry, I don't know why I messed that up. So you can easily use it here. 001, I haven't made any updates, but you can put the version in there or just pull the latest. And so as you see here, we pass in a few things. The only 2 needed variables is a map and then the replace map as well. Let's kind of get into some pseudocode or redundant code here. But our map is this security groups here, and as you can see, I went ahead and started combining these. So there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times 3, 36 different resources, and we have them down here into the 15, or this small set here, 13, whatever it was. And you can see that what I did was I left the org project in here. We're going to come back to that in a second, but I have the environments, instead of being dev, staging, prod, I made them capital E, capital N, capital V. and that is just our search string. As you can see in the second map we pass in, we define that here. This could be dog or foo or anything you like. And then what we do is we pass in the string to replace. So what this module will do is it will go through both sides of the map, which was not available to do with looping and whatnot in 0.12. So I wrote the module, and it will loop through this left side, and it will change the env to def, and then it will create this here and change the env to def, and it will do that for staging, and it will do it for prod, and then it will go down through each one. I believe Ruby has this method, and they call it a map. Just dot map, I believe, is the name of the method, but basically that's all we're doing here. So one of the things that I set into this refactoring, which you can see we have this org project env here, and that's kind of used throughout the project. So to save some time, I went ahead and made some locals. I have a few other ones here that I use, like I have org project environment or OPE prefix, and this just saves me from typing it multiple times. We also had a base tags variable. That's a map full of tags that we would use for anything from actual tags on the resources in AWS, or to dynamically name or create strings for our stuff here. So we create this OP prefix. I would use the OPE here, but we actually need this env to stay the string env so that we can replace it down below. And so what we'll do is we'll look for org project, and then we'll get this bad guy changed. So we'll go to the OP org project prefix, and we'll replace that, and that will just auto set that. And I do that because right here when I pass this, we pass the base tags in, and that can be set in this environment, and those base tags can be different for every environment. There are a few that, obviously some base tags that we pass around, but some of those change. So we pass that in. So now we have this local OP prefix, and it does its thing. So then what this module does is it just returns a map, is all that it returns. And that whole reason I wanted to do that was so that I can come down here and do this data AWS security group, this, and then I can do for each module security groups, which is this guy here, use the output of the map, and then we're going to look those up. So this this module here will output a map that looks, let me see, I don't know what, there we go, multi-line. And Terraform is the same CSS. So what we'll do, we have a map here, and it ends up being CMS dev is equal to org. Oops, you guys get to see how good I am at typing. Org project dev CMS SG. Right. The names we can talk about, I would not have the -SG in here for all these, since they are security groups. I would stitch those going forward, but they were already created, and we're just rolling with this for the example. So this is what the map looks like this, and then we would, we would have same one here, staging, and then you'd have prod here as well, right? Those are in alphabetical order, but that's your map here. So what it does is it says name. So I want to basically, just like we were doing here, data AWS security group, I put this because that seems to be a Terraform best practice when you're creating a module. And then you have the name here, just like we did over on this guy. And we look up the value from this for each, and then replace it here, and then if we don't have a default, it puts a string there. But then that will go and it will create all of these. And then so, kind of jumping around here a little bit. So back over here, then the way that you would use this is something like data AWS, or sorry, this is in the wrong. We would be using that over here. So in another file, you could be doing something like security group dot this, and then you could go cms dev dot I don't know, name per se, right? And this was kind of key because we were doing dot and then a long string, and this just cleans up a bunch of things. And so this is basically the module. Feel free to comment in the GitHub repository, issues, pull requests, anything like that. And let me know if there's anything else that you'd like me to do. And the nice thing about this module is that we didn't only just do this for security groups, but we were then able to do the same thing for VPCs and a few other resource types that were very repetitive in this nature, and clean up those codes. So you can see I had 117 lines there, and I'm at under 40 here. So you save a bunch of lines, and it just makes it a little bit easier to read. I hope you guys find it interesting and you can make use of it. Have a good day.